All right, well, thank you again for joining us for this question and answer video on the Indigenous critical orientation. We're going to go through a few questions with our 6 panelists. The first question is, how do you believe bringing in this framework might change the learning experience for students? Gerardo, yes.
I think this is like a really good thing to teach students and everyone like here in Oregon, because some of us we don't know too much about it. Like for me, example, like I didn't know as much as I did after learning about this.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, I agree. Anyone else want to share? Abby.
I think this would definitely change the learning experience by correcting a lot of the things that have been misrepresented, especially with people who haven't really been learning about Indigenous studies when we were younger. I think it would definitely have changed the way that I looked at history and the way our country was formed if I had learned about this sooner.
I agree. If I would have had this growing up as well. Yes, Justine.
I think that first it'll be beneficial to all students because they're going to have a better knowledge about the first people that were here in the state that they live in. And second, I think it'll help Native students feel more recognized within their classrooms and feel more comfortable about learning about themselves and having others learn about their own culture.
Oh, good. I hope so. I hope that happens. That would be wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Zoe.
I was just kind of thinking along the same lines as Justine, that I think that it will help Native students kind of like their confidence and just feeling more comfortable at school, like knowing that their educators know that they're there and that, they kind of recognize the history,
For our second question that I have for you, what are some ways you would like to see this curriculum in the classroom? Yes, Justine.
I'd like to see schools being willing to partner with tribes and have them come in and talk to students. And I think it offers a presence to students, and it's a more not one-on-one, but they get to kind of visualize and see and ask questions and kind of learn from the source. And then it shows teacher support for tribes as well.
And Justine, for the record, I would like that in my teacher education classes as well, so I will be in touch. Would anyone else like to share? Abby, yes.
Yes, I completely agree with Justine, and I would also love to see the framework used to educate students in how they can continue to support Indigenous peoples throughout our country by honoring treaties and honoring the relationships that we are trying to build through this curriculum. As we try to use it as a tool to dismantle system of oppression while simultaneously uplifting powerful stories of our Indigenous students.
Great, thank you. Well, Abby, you now have a charge. You're going to be in the classroom soon, so I will come back and visit you in a few years and see how you're doing that. Well, thank you. We're going to move on to the third and final question. For this question, what ways could you make a land acknowledgement statement a sustainable part of your classroom? So I think we're just going to go to Louisa.
Yeah. A way that I think that we can make land acknowledgement statements sustainable is, we definitely, a lot of schools say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think it would be interesting to have our students create a land acknowledgement that's appropriate for where they live and say that every day. And they're creating it so they can be passionate about it, and they'll hear it often enough that they'll remember that and share that knowledge with other people too.
Oh, that's an interesting way of doing it. Thank you. Thank you, Louisa. Anyone else want to share a way to do this?
I think one of the best ways that you can kind of support the land acknowledgement within your curriculum and in your classroom is to teach the curriculum that goes along with it, so that students are able to connect that land acknowledgement and what it means to the culture and the people of this land, and understand why that's so important and why land acknowledgements are so important to support.
Thank you. That is so important. I think that's a great way for us to finish, to remember to use this curriculum, and again, as to remember that all 9 Confederated tribes now have curriculum that can be used in the classroom. So thank you for joining us, and goodbye.